we are.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Basketball Conference, the ACC Football Podcast. My name's Joey Weaver. He is producer Scott. Scott, week 12 in the books. How you doing?
Doing well. Watched a decent amount of football today. What are you godding?
Hang on. I had the YouTube hit the YouTube window open and I started hearing myself and I was like freaking out. Anyways, how are you, Scott?
All right. Well, Mike's not here and we're still messing up.
That's right. Off to a hot start here.
Day was good. We're doing all right. Watched a decent amount of football today in preparation for filling in for Mr. Mike McDaniel, who was on vacation. Doing okay. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. Yeah, it was. For 6 games, it feels like there is a decent amount to talk about with each and every one of them somehow. Which, not that we're ever short on words for these games, really on the recap shows, but each one of them, kind of their own brand of interesting today. So, and especially in a week where I think all but one of these games had a double-digit spread, and almost all of them ended up being like roughly 1-score games. Ended up being a sneaky good weekend of football in the ACC.
I was entertained. So,
yeah,
that's what football's for.
Yep, for sure. We are live, youtube.com/@the-ACC Football Podcast. It is a few minutes, I'll call it like 11:40 p.m. on the East Coast here, Saturday night. Mike McDaniel in parts unknown, we'll say. I don't know where he is. He's somewhere between here and Florida or something by now.
Yeah.
So we will be we're covering duties for him tonight. He might be making a guest appearance at some point here. We'll have to see. I don't know how much traditional hosts make guest appearances on anything, but he might be calling in. We'll have to find out. In any case, Scott, we have 6 games to recap. Do you want to start with a Rhoback rapid recap?
Yes, I do. Rhoback.com/ there's no slash. Just use promo code GOAC20 at checkout. And I muted myself to get 20% off your first order at Rhoback.com. Now, I will say they're running 20% off right now just for Black Friday. But you can still use our code, and it still helps us out. So just type it in, get 20% off your order. Because it's Black Friday sale, and you can get Q-zips, joggers, polos, whatever attire you may desire.
Scott, well-versed in using this code to acquire Rhoback gear. So
yes, I am wearing the joggers right this sec.
How do they feel? Are they comfy?
Always so comfortable. That's why I'm wearing them.
High-quality stuff there, Rhoback.com. Again, I played a golf tournament earlier this week. Far from the only person wearing Rhoback there. I had a Q-zip. I was going to be wearing a quarter zip. I was going to wear on this show tonight if the weather weren't all of a sudden becoming hot again in Houston, because, in mid-November, that's what it's time for, is short sleeves. So, anyways, but Rhoback.com, go ACC20 at checkout for 20% off your first order.
Yep. All right. You ready?
You want to put 10 minutes on the clock here, Scott?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it.
Hold on 1 second. Nope. I think this is what I wanted. Let's go.
There we go. All right, 10 minutes on the clock. Rapid recap of all today's ACC action in 3, 2, and 1. Let's start with the noon window. Number 20, Clemson 24, the Pitt Panthers 20, in a game where Clemson, had it completely under control and then all of a sudden didn't.
Yep.
And then Pitt took the lead, and you thought Pitt was firing the super weapon. And then Cade Klubnik, 50 yards right up the middle in your eye hole, Scott.
Yeah, actually, I listened to the end of the game on the radio. Was coming home on the way home from the in-laws' house today, but I did catch most of the game with the visuals. Didn't really think Pitt deserved to be in this game at all, based on some shenanigans that was going on, which might end up at the end of the show. And hashtag GoACMOTW. But good fun. Get college football game, I guess. And
sure was.
I think people hated running the ball today, or the defense played well against the run on both sides.
I was going to say Pitt's defense absolutely played its ass off for basically a full 60 minutes. I mean,
Yep.
and especially in the second half. I mean, Clemson was shut out for the first 28 minutes of the second half. I mean,
Yeah.
they absolutely played their tails off and just couldn't quite come up with the one stop they needed at the end. But credit to Pitt's defense for sure. Running the ball was a challenge. By the way, as we go through this, people in the chat joining us here, hashtag GoACCMOTW with your award nominations. We got some on Twitter today. Several of us all had the same idea, but toss them in the chat as you're going. We'd appreciate that.
We would.
Number 8, Notre Dame 35, UVA 14 in.
Bang, you're dead.
Yeah, I mean, Notre Dame was up 35-0 early in the third quarter and then parked the bus, and then Virginia again with 18 seconds left, scoring a touchdown to cover.
Tony Muskett.
Ridiculous backdoor cover here from Virginia, and I am not happy about it.
I agree. Not happy. I was also on Notre Dame minus, I think it was 23.5 that we got.
23 and a hook, either one. Yeah.
Yep. Close. Wasn't happy about that. Was happy the Irish won, I guess, because we were right about that. But come on. Tony and his muskets.
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing?
Virginia is basically just like a walking bad beat this year. Like, this is at least the second time they've done this, of scoring at the very, very end of a game to cover. And I don't know. This is what you get for laying 23 with a team like that, I guess.
Another potential hashtag go ACC MOTW off the, I believe, opening kickoff of this game. That we'll get to later.
Yeah. We will get to that for sure, because that definite candidate. Number 14, SMU 38, the Boston College Eagles 28. A game where Boston College, I think, a lot more game than I kind of wondered if they would be. Really good showing. I mean, credit to SMU getting the win here and being able to pull away, but Boston College made this a game. And I mean, a lot of shenanigans this week with Thomas Castellanos leaving the team. Basically,
see ya.
He's gone. But Boston College finds a way to hang around here and make this a game. And yet, SMU now, 6-0 in conference? I mean, they're
6-0.
They're probably about one win away from clinching an appearance in Charlotte in year one in the conference. And I have my opinions on SMU, but my opinions don't really matter when it comes to looking at the win and loss column.
Yeah, I mean, I think the final score 38-28 is a little bit larger, because I think SMU scored with 13 seconds left to 10-point lead. I think it was something like that. And they were trying to ice the game. It was a 4th and 2. They should have gone for it. That was correct. And then they ended up putting it in the end zone.
That's right.
But fun game. Boston College, gave their fight, held in there, and then SMU pulled away at the end. So, yeah.
Credit to the Ponies, but I mean, credit to Boston College too, getting up off the mat after the week that was and making this a close one. So credit to them.
Yep.
Stanford 38, the number 19 Louisville Cardinals 35. Scott, I think the best way that I can put this. So first of all, Stanford, hell yeah, like you
good for them.
Found a way to come up with a win. Huge upset. That is awesome for the Cardinal. For Louisville, the best way I can put this, you have now stacked up the best win of the Jeff Brom era,
worst loss,
and the worst loss of the Jeff Brom era.
Back-to-back weeks
in back-to-back games. I think there was a bye week in there.
You're right. But games.
and honestly, I think that is the absolute perfect microcosm of what this season has kind of felt like for Louisville. Just very up and down and not really playing to their potential, but sometimes, and that inconsistency I think has really shown through the last two games.
Yeah. Louisville had a 35-21 lead here, I think late third quarter. Am I right with that?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. They scored with less than 10 minutes left to have a 2-touchdown lead.
I will say they let Stanford hang around.
Yes, they did.
And it bit him in the ass. We'll
Yes,
talk about
did.
the rest later, but it bit him in the ass.
Yeah, this was a I don't know what the opposite of a masterclass is, but this was a coaching disaster class, basically. We'll say.
Bad.
So,
Bad.
There you go. Syracuse 33, Cal 25. Fran Brown smelling
Can
like
shower.
yeah,
You can shower.
smelling like a fresh as a daisy on the plane heading home tonight for the Orange. Credit to them.
His wife will be happy. Syracuse pull it out in the line that didn't make any sense. Syracuse basically covers the own line at winning by 8 points.
Yeah. Syracuse got out to a big lead here. Some of that was assisted by a couple of pretty bad Frankie Mendoza interceptions.
Yep.
Cal works their way back in, ultimately scores with about a minute left to make it an 8-point game, but was not able to complete the comeback here. So, I mean, still, that's kind of a hell of a win by Syracuse, going all the way across the country and getting it done here.
Yeah. Again, I think the final score makes it, I don't know if this again, but it's closer than it seemed because Syracuse had a healthy margin. They were up by 20 at halftime. The final score here is an 8-point margin, but again, like you said, Cal scored with like a minute and change left and then failed to get the onside kick. So I think it was a little bit more of I think it was a pretty dominant performance from Syracuse for the most part.
Yeah. They got out to a big lead and were able to hold on. So,
Yep.
Yeah, credit to the Orange. Really good performance from them. Good day from Kyle McCord in particular, for sure. So, shout out to them. Finally, Scott, Carolina 31, Wake 24 in another bad beat in a game that I had locked up, and I'm not happy about it.
All I have to say is
I am the smartest man alive!
the producer's pick of the week cashes again.
Taking the under and
Taking
Carolina
the under,
away.
63.5. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, I know I did. Mike might have also had the 11.5 with Carolina locked
I believe
up.
he did.
And I mean, it was there. Carolina scores with under 2 minutes left, and it's like, all right, we're good. Final score 31-17. We're all happy, go home, and we're done. And then Wake, with like a minute left, hits like a 40-yard pass down the middle and ends up punching it in a few plays later. And it was just like, of course.
Yep.
I've got real issues with North Carolina. Like, Carolina's fine, but like, they just make me mad is all it is.
Are you mad because they're bowl eligible?
Kinda, yeah. I mean, I just like, I think part of me is like, I think I was correct that they are in decline.
They're mid.
Yeah, they're mid. The schedule has not really pushed them in the way that maybe I thought it would at times. So yeah, they've made it to bowl eligibility, but I definitely think this is a program in decline, I would say, and we can get into that maybe a little bit more existentially here in a little bit. But I mean, this is not as good of a North Carolina program as it was 2, 4, 6 years ago, and that's maybe a little bit of what I was getting at with picking the record that I picked coming into the year.
I agree. All right. That's the recap. 35 seconds left.
There we go. Once again, that recap brought to you by Rhoback.com. Use promo code GOACC20 for 20% off your first order. For all things wonderful athleisure, polos, quarter zips, joggers, T-shirts, shorts. What else do they have, Scott? They got more things there.
T-shirts, shorts, joggers,
Yeah.
quarter zips. You said it all. They got some skirts for women.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Yeah. Tennis or golf skirts,
The
whatever.
little polos for your toddler. They got
That's
those
right.
too.
That's right.
Yep.
We got one of those for my kid
Love it.
like 3 years ago. Doesn't fit him anymore. That's how kids work. I
Pass
guess.
it on to the next one. You got
That's
it.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
We'll be doing that for sure. Yeah. Rhoback.com, promo code GOACC20 for 20% off your first order. All right, Scott, let's jump into some deep dives here. Where should we start?
How about we get this one out of the way? Number 8, Notre Dame 35, Virginia 14. Woof.
Yeah.
Virginia.
This can be quick. I mean, look, Virginia gave it the old college try here, right? Like
College, yeah.
Yeah, of course they did their best, and Notre Dame's really good. Okay, like Notre Dame is really, really good, and very, very likely going to be in the playoff at this point. That defense is playing phenomenally, I think, and the way that defense can put pressure on you can make it a little easier for for the offense to score, and it seems like they are able to overwhelm teams that just don't have quite the level of talent that Notre Dame has.
Yep. I got to be honest, I didn't watch much of this game. Before I got home from my drive home today, I got three ESPN notifications showing me that Notre Dame scored 3 touchdowns, and I was like, okay, I don't really need to tune into this. But the one moment I did capture was an Anthony Calandria surrender cobra, which doesn't look good for him. He threw looks like a pretty terrible interception, and then just was beside himself. So that's about it. And I think they got whooped, and then Notre Dame parked the bus, like you said, and they backdoor covered, which made all of us sad.
I will say that's honestly probably my biggest takeaway from this game is, as much as Mike and I especially have been driving the Anthony Calandria bus over the last 12 months.
Fun.
But
is he good fun?
Yeah, man, he did not have a good showing here. 8 for 21, 69 nice yards, and 3 picks. I mean, turning the ball over, and I mean, a couple of these turnovers were, I saw someone mention on Twitter, it's like you can deal with a gunslinger of a quarterback who is going to turn the ball over because they're also going to create some big plays and kind of balance it all out, right? But it really becomes a problem when you're not creating those big plays and you're not balancing it out, and you're just kind of having these irresponsible throws that come back to bite you, and all of a sudden now you've given up an easy 14 points or whatever it is, So I'm starting to wonder, I mean, and there's a chance that Calandria is kind of hitting what I'll call a freshman wall. I know he's a sophomore, but I mean, the playing time last year was kind of uneven, and it started and then it stopped and it started again. And there was very much a question coming into the year, like, is it going to be Calandria? Is it going to be Musket? Like, who knows?
Yep.
I wonder if he's hitting a bit of a wall here. I mean, he's got 7 interceptions in his last 3 games.
Ooh, I didn't know that. That's bad.
Yeah, it's not going great. He hasn't thrown for 200 yards in a game in a month. So, oof. Yeah, I mean, not great. Not great. So I wonder, maybe I could absolutely see Virginia turning around and in their next game against
SMU.
SMU, yeah, sure. I could see them running out Tony Musket and just sort of seeing what happens. And I don't know. And maybe it's not like I don't know. It's definitely benching him, but maybe you don't frame it that way.
Well, it's senior day. Does that help?
Senior day. There you go. Absolutely. Call it what you want. Like, yeah, we're going to play the senior on senior day. But I'm starting to wonder at this moment, does Anthony Calandria give you the best chance to win? Even though that's the opposite of the conversation we were having for 9-12 months, basically, before this season started.
I mean, I'm looking at the schedule. I didn't think they were win this game today with him or without him. So
sure, yeah.
If you look back, did he cost them? I mean, full honesty here. Did he cost them against Louisville where they lost by 4?
Not really.
Then
I mean, that was.
They
had the lead with 3 minutes left, right?
They got their butts kicked by Clemson, and then they had that 10-sack day against UNC. Is that Calandria's fault? So, I mean, I think you're right. He's hitting that little sophomore, rookie, whatever slump, and he's just working through it, man. Maybe he's just working through it.
I mean, even in the win over Pittsburgh, 16 of 24, 143, a touchdown, but 2 picks. That's
yeah.
Gives you a little something in the run game.
You still got that cough?
I do.
You should probably go to the doctor.
I probably should. I'll find a time for that in the next couple of months or something. We'll see.
We done here?
Yeah, not a whole lot more to talk about, I don't think. This is what we get when producer Scott co-hosts, is he kind of keeps the show moving more effectively than Mike and I do. So
I just don't really want to talk Virginia anymore, to be honest. Sorry,
that's understandable. Notre Dame 35, Virginia 14. I did want to add, Mike did send in a quick thing here. Wanted to know.
Virginia's awesome.
That's right. All right, there we go.
Awesome.
Thank you for that addition there, Mike. So Notre Dame 35, Virginia 14.
You know who's not awesome?
Who?
Mike. 1-9 this week on his bets. Just to let everybody out there know. I hope he didn't tail Mike this week.
He was on the business end of, let's see, 1, 2, off the top of my head, at least 2 bad beats here.
Yes.
Man, there were a couple of those this week. Now, Navy plus 7.5 against Tulane was never the right side, apparently. No. So, anyways, where to next, Scott?
Your favorite team, North Carolina, 31, Wake Forest, 24.
I mean, the team we thought would win won. This is a weird. Am I right? Like, this is a weird game.
Very weird. Very weird.
Like,
the first half was low. What was it? 10-3 or 7 at half.
Carolina kicks a field goal basically at the gun in going into halftime to make it 10-3. Yep. Super low scoring. We talked in the preview. I mean, this game historically for a number of years has always been these wacky shootout, like both teams in the 40s at least, like crazy games. And this year, we get to halftime, we got 13 points on the board.
Yep.
And then we come out in the second half, and it's bang, 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 and all of a sudden, it's with 5 minutes left in the third, it's 24-17. It's like, oh, that's more like it. And then we go like 18 minutes, and nobody scores again. Yeah. And Carolina finally scores, punches it in with a little over 2 minutes left in the game to get to a 14-point margin. And all right, good. We both had Carolina minus the 11.5. We're good. We're going to make it there. And then Michael Kern to Taylor Marin a couple times in your eye hole in the final 2 minutes there to cover for Wake.
Brutal.
I mean, yeah, brutal. Carolina wins. They're 6-4. They're going to go to a bowl game. It's fine. Like, Carolina's not like bad. They're not terrible. They continue to absolutely just burn rubber with Amari and Hampton. 35 carries here.
Career high.
Yeah. 244 on the ground.
Yep. Career high in carries and yardage. Saw it on the broadcast.
Yeah. I mean, he had 13 more carries than Jacoby Criswell threw passes in this game. So,
dang.
I mean, Hampton's really good, but there is a piece of me that I think part of what bothers me is this guy's going to go to the NFL, I presume, after this year. And he better go after this year because... Well,
you're a running back. You have to go as soon as you can, right? That's the rule?
Well, more or less, but especially with a program like Carolina that is like absolutely putting mileage on the tread, or burning the tread off the tires on a weekly basis at this point. I mean,
yeah.
I think they showed that he's got like almost 70 carries in his last 2 games for like 400 yards and 5 touchdowns, which I mean is great, but also good Lord, dude, like you can watch another round fall off your draft stock doing that week after week in college right now. So, I mean, do what you got to do to get the win, but a little bit of me wonders like for what?
Yeah, he's a junior according to his player profile, so he'll be going to the draft. I don't know how he'll be drafted, but he's going to get out of there and stop making less money than he could be at the NFL level, I think, depending on how UNC's NAL effort is going. Weird game, like you said. Had a buddy over for this game, told him I was on the under 63.5. He promptly jinxed it, and then UNC immediately fumbled on their own 5-yard line, and Wake went in to score, and I was like, bro, what the hell? Why did you say that? But then, like you said, then we went through about 18 minutes of scoreless action, and it was just a strange game. Overall, producer's pick of the week hits, and that's all that matters here.
Yet again, producer's pick of the week hits.
Back-to-back weeks.
Wake Forest changed quarterbacks in the second half here. Michael Kern finishes out from Hank Bachmeier.
Yep.
I didn't see. I mean, was Hank Bachmeier wasn't hurt, was he, Scott?
I wasn't paying close enough attention to know that. so I won't lie and say I do.
Let me check here.
But
I-
it wouldn't surprise me. Let's read the little recap here and see if it has any.
Very weird stat line from Bachmeier: 10 for 14 for 68 yards.
Bachmeier knocked from game with apparent upper body injury early in the third, according to the game recap by the AP.
Okay, so it was an injury situation then.
Yep.
All right. Well, makes sense. Michael Kern came in and played well though for Wake, and I mean he got some yardage there at the end in garbage time. He did throw a couple picks. He's like a fourth-year backup at Wake at quarterback, which tells you what you need to know, I'm sure. But Wake. What can we say about Wake? Like they continue to try. They're well coached, but whatever, they had some talent peaks on the roster over the years, and it continues to it's not as much a thing anymore, and they continue losing games like this. 2-4 in conference. They're one loss away from being eliminated from bowl eligibility. Tough for Wake.
Tough. What do we still think about Dave Clawson, our guy?
To me, same as always. I don't know how much longer this is going to go on for, and it's really not me thinking that they're going to fire him. I think he's going to get fed up with it and move on, and I don't blame him for a second. It's what he did at Wake for the longest time worked really well, and it was a really good approach and a really good strategy. And then all of a sudden, like the rules basically changed around him overnight, and all of a sudden, the thing that he did for a long time that worked really well no longer really applies or works in the same way. And at that point, well, sorry.
Yep.
So,
agree.
This Carolina team pisses me off, Scott. Like they're
not that good. Which is why they make you bad.
They're not like I think people want to act like they're better than they are, and like they're good enough. They made a bowl game here. Some of that is a benefit of a kind of an easy schedule at times, but I do think this is a program in decline, and I very like it, a little bit the same with Clawson. How much longer are we going to keep doing this in Chapel Hill?
Probably as long as they let him, man.
Yeah.
Probably.
So how long do you let him, right? Like, and nobody up there wants to fire Mac Brown. Like he's the I don't know, he's the golden boy up there. Everybody loves Mac Brown, and from what I understand, it's easy to love Mac Brown, but at some point this program is slowly degrading under him as he gets closer and closer to retiring, and the recruiting takes a hit, and you can't hire the coordinators you want and all this stuff. Like it's going to keep slowly getting worse.
Yeah. So I know in the past they had a very, very strong, a couple strong recruiting classes. I haven't been keeping up with North Carolina's recruiting classes as of late, but if those start to fall off and then the performance in the field, it looks like this being like the season as a whole, getting your doors blown off by JMU, stuff like that. It can't last forever.
Yeah.
But are they gonna fire Mac Brown?
Not publicly.
Yeah, exactly.
At some point you make it, oh, he resigns or he's retiring. Yeah. They won't publicly fire him.
Right.
And there's a piece of me that feels bad having this conversation coming off of a Carolina win. But I think where I'm at is that looking at what this Wake team has been this year and looking at what this Carolina program kind of is supposed to be or should be, this should not have been a one-score game with 4 minutes left, right? Like, if Carolina is doing what they're supposed to be doing, they should have won this game by 17 points, even with a late score by Wake. Like, you should have put this Wake team away in the third quarter, more or less.
I agree. I mean, you could maybe argue that Wake is one of the worst 3 teams in the conference.
I could. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I
So
would.
it's tough for North
I think it's
Carolina.
probably
I mean,
Wake, Stanford, and SMU or something.
oh, Joey.
And Florida State, of course. Sorry.
Yeah.
Anyways,
All right. I don't have anything else.
I'm good there. Carolina 31, Wake 24.
All right. Where did we go? Since we talked about worst teams in the ACC, Syracuse 33, Cal 25.
Speaking of weird games,
Strange.
this is another one. Syracuse gets out to a big lead again early. I mean, they were up 27-7 at halftime.
Yep.
Cal does get a long touchdown run from Javian Thomas in the first half, but otherwise, I mean, Cal kind of struggled to sustain drives here. And I mean, credit to Syracuse's defense. They played very well here, I thought. And they were able to hit some big plays. They were able to sustain drives more effectively than I think we've seen them do in recent weeks. So, I mean, credit to Syracuse for winning this game for sure. And this is a good win for them. Cal continues to lose games by 1 score in the ACC in like an almost statistically impossible way that they just they keep coming up short on these games, which it's wild. But I think the biggest thing to me was that their defense. This is probably one of the worst performances we've seen from a Cal defense this year. Like they were not able to really contain Syracuse's offense, at least in the first half. They also had some kicking issues that kind of reared their ugly head at some point too. Welcome
They
back.
came back up. Yep. I mean, they were bad early this year. I will say, I think today was a bad day for Cal.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't. They didn't play their best. It was a 1-score loss, like you said. But before today, they lost by a combined, I think it was 10 points in their other 4 losses before today, and today it was by 8. So read into that what you will. I mean, they had a lead against NC State, played Pitt close, should have beat Miami. FSU was close. Today they were never close, in my opinion. So
and they scored again. They scored with like a minute left to make it a 1-score game. So it really kind of spiritually should not have been a 1-score game.
Right. So 5-5, Stanford next week. They make it a bowl game.
Man,
SMU is the last game of the year. So
Cal is not going into Dallas and beating SMU at this point. Like, I would be stunned. And yet, if Cal cannot win the big game next week against Stanford,
ban is on the field.
Bands on the field, the whole thing. If you can't beat Stanford and you lose to SMU and you miss a bowl game, just the way that this whole year has gone, I don't really know the culture or kind of the expectation at Cal, but buddy, like I gotta think that there is a higher expectation than going 5-7 and just losing close game after close game, losing to your rival, missing a bowl game. I feel like it puts J.J. Wilcox in some warm to heated water at the very least.
Okay. I can get behind it. I mean, I don't think you're wrong. I just don't think you can lose to this Stanford team.
Yeah.
Even though they won today, shout out to Stanford, good win. I don't think you can lose to this Stanford team next week at home. You can't do it.
You better not.
You can't do it.
You better not.
They're not good. Stanford. So Cali can't lose. Syracuse, though, I mean, I will credit. I think they ran the ball well. We've been talking about Cal a lot here. Fran Brown could take a shower. LaQuint Allen, I think, 18 carries for over 100 yards. So had a
Got a
good
little
day on
over
the
100
ground.
yards, yeah. 23
Yep.
for 109, 2 touchdowns.
23 for 1. I think I have another guy's line. So sorry, LeQuint. Good game. Good game on the ground. They didn't rely on Kyle McCord as much today, I don't believe. And defense did a good game.
I think McCord set the school record for completions in a season here.
Because this dude's been gunslinging.
Well, that's what we've said here is like this is sneaky like an air raid offense, basically.
Yep.
Like it's I mean, they're like 70, 75% passing plays. And as mentioned, I mean, McCord week to week, sometimes, we have a
Sometimes
sound for
maybe
that.
good. Sometimes maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, we have a sound for that. And at that point, you get what you get. And that's you're 7-3 and 4-3 in conference. And I mean, you got to win today. Shout out to the Orange.
Yep, go Orange. I think they're gonna get the win next week against good old UConn.
Mm-hmm.
Then they travel down to Coral Gables to take on the Hurricanes. So
They travel into Coral Gables, or they got Coral Gables coming to them?
excuse me, you're correct. Coral Gables coming to them up in the Dimsdale Dimazome. So JMA wireless dome.
I heard that mentioned on game day this morning. Was the old be careful going to the Carrier Dome.
Yes.
I mean,
So we'll see.
Aronde Gadsden, Trebor Pena, pretty big days combined for 19 catches for almost 200 yards, a little over 200 yards actually through the air. Big deal for them. And I do just want to call out, I think we talked about on the preview, I had big questions of how would Kyle McCord handle that Cal defense as good as Cal has been. And I just wanted to call that out, that was something I had said, and he handled it quite well and completed a lot of passes, racked up some yardage, probably not even really a candidate for the Kobe Bryant Memorial Volume Shooter of the Week award. So shout out to Kyle McCord. He had a good game here all the way across the country.
Good for you, Kyle.
Shout out to the Orange. Syracuse 33, Cal 25.
Yes, sir. All right. Let's do this one. Clemson, number 20, Clemson, 24. Pittsburgh, 20. Best game of the day, Joey.
It was. This is absolutely gut-wrenching for Pitt.
Yep.
I mean, I do not envy Pitt fans that had to sit through this whole game and experience it and have to sit with the fact that you came back, took the lead late, and then lost the game on just Cade Klubnik 50 yards through the heart of Yinzer territory. I mean, that's a tough loss. Pitt's defense played their tails off. They got after Clemson in this game. Clemson could not run the ball at all.
Neither team could, really.
Cade, by the way, with that 50-yard run at the end of the game, gave Clemson 58 yards rushing on the day.
Yep.
On 27 attempts, meaning the other 26 combined for 8 yards.
What do we say, Joey? Kobe.
These two teams combined for 13 sacks on defense. We had Nate Yarnell, the Nate Yarnell show for Pitt. Eli Holstein did not play in this game, as we kind of suspected might be the case. Might have been a concussion kind of situation, but Pitt got down. It was 17-7 at halftime, and then again, I tweeted this out. I think it was in the third quarter, like late in the third quarter. Pitt's defense again just playing their absolute tails off, trying to keep them in this game, give them a chance to win. I was really tempted to put a little tag on there and saying like their offense just doesn't have it, isn't doing it, because as soon as I tweeted that, the offense came to life a little bit, and they ended up putting up 13 points in the fourth quarter. There was a sequence here where Pitt, there were multiple sequences of plays here for Pitt in this game that were Go ACC Moment of the Week candidates. But there was one point where Pitt had the ball, what was it, third and goal from the 1.
Bad.
Handoff up the middle, loss of 1, up, penalty, illegal formation, 5-yard penalty. Delay of game, 5-yard penalty. False start, 5-yard penalty. Incomplete pass, kick a field goal.
And
Missed opportunity.
And this wasn't the first time that Pittsburgh had a sequence like that in this game.
Yeah.
In this
No.
game,
Yeah.
they had a similar sequence earlier in the game. I believe it was late second quarter.
Mm-hmm.
They had Clemson pinned back. Clemson had the ball. They were on defense. It was 3rd and 21. I want to say it's 22, and
Yeah.
they committed 3 offside penalties in a row on back-to-back-to-back instances.
Free play, free play, free play. And now it's 3rd and 6.
And they got away with it because Cade missed the pass on the next play. But gosh darn it, what the hell was that?
Huge Go ACC Moment of the Week candidate there as well.
I think that's the winner, man. I think that's the winner.
I think it has to be. Yeah. Pitt, man, there were a couple of sequences here for Pitt that just
That's why I
Wow.
didn't think they deserved to win it all, because of not just one, but both of those.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about last week Georgia Tech pulling off the upset script to a
Right.
T against
Right.
Miami.
Right. This was not the script.
No, the script here does not include 13 penalties for 100 yards, right? Like, that's a really good way to shoot yourself in the foot and keep yourself from giving a chance to win the game. They outgained Clemson here by almost 100 yards of offense. And, I mean, but you turned it over twice, and you had all those penalties, and I feel like there was some undisciplined play here from Pitt, kind of sprinkled throughout this game, but especially in certain moments that really kind of kept you from having a chance to actually pull it off. And I say a chance. They were in position to actually pull it off, and they still kind of couldn't. And that sucks. I do not envy Pitt fans, again, having to sit with this of what you were so close, and you had so many chances, and you almost did it.
With the
And
backup.
then you didn't.
With the backup quarterback. I mean,
Yeah, with the backup in the game, for sure.
yeah, you can't make mistakes like that, especially on the 2-1 yard line when you're on offense, and then just the amount of mental errors Pittsburgh was making today. It just seemed like maybe the moment got a little bit in their head, you know?
Yeah. And that's the big thing. I mean, if it's holding, that's one thing.
Yeah.
When it's delay of game, illegal substitution, false start, like procedural stuff,
Right.
man, that is tough. That's tough. So, man, Clemson, I kind of feel like Clemson got away with one here. Like,
Yes, but
largely
also no.
outplayed.
They're the better coach team. They won.
They are. That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you caught this, but when they had that little fiasco down there in the red zone, Greg McElroy on the commentary was angry. And when the announcer is angry at you, that's not usually a good sign. So
Yeah.
it wasn't a surprising outcome. I was listening to the end on the radio. I heard the Pitt field goal to take the lead, and then 3 plays later, and it's just
Yeah. I was at a birthday party at that point, and I had it up on my phone and was trying to not be like offensively antisocial, like ignoring people, but I pulled the phone out in time. I people were like, "Oh, you watching a game?" I was like, "Oh yeah, like Pitt has Clemson on the ropes here," as Pitt was driving down to take the lead, and that was the other thing was, I mean, Pitt had that thing moving, and they kind of looked like they were going to punch it in. They had 1st and 10 at the 17-yard line, like they were in the red zone moving it, and then just Clemson's defense kind of stood up and stopped them. They kicked a field goal, take a 3-point lead.
Yep.
But at that point, the way the game had been going, it sure seemed like Pitt was primed to get one more stop with that defense, and that just didn't happen. And but that was the big thing was Pitt had Clemson on the ropes for sure, and Clemson just found a way to punch back. And I didn't watch that fight last night, but I'm assuming there's some allegory with Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, but I don't know.
Hey, when you're fighting a 58-year-old man in your 20s, I mean, what do you expect?
What was that thing with Tyson had his butt cheeks out or something like that? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't watch it, but I saw that meme and I was confused.
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah.
That's all I got here. I don't think. I mean, Clemson finishes 7-1 in conference. They're 8-2 overall.
I got a tough game next.
Yeah, they
Or South Carolina.
do they need help to get to Charlotte? I think they do.
No, I don't think so, right?
I think it's SMU and Miami right now. If neither of them loses again,
I thought it was the other way. Maybe I'm wrong.
I was texting with my dad, and by the way, my dad told me a couple weeks ago he loves how I mentioned things that he and I were talking about. I was texting with my dad.
Shout out, Mr. Weaver.
Hey, shout out to Jay. We were talking. He texted me yesterday. It was like, "Oh, I finally got caught up on the podcast. What was this whole thing about Miami not controlling their destiny to Charlotte?" Which, by the way, first of all, we were mistaken saying that. I think Miami does control their own destiny getting to Charlotte. But this is what we mentioned is like this is just what you end up with these massive conferences with no divisions. You only play 8 conference games. And you have a bunch of teams that don't play each other, and so you get a bunch of 7-1 teams, and now all of a sudden, okay, well, what was the combined record of our common opponents, and what, like you start getting the whole thing is decided by tiebreakers, basically, which sucks. Like the idea of this sport, you should be deciding it by games on the field, but those games don't happen. And there's just no way to make sure that they do, and so it's like this is gonna keep happening. This is year one, and we're seeing it in this conference. We're seeing it in the SEC. We're seeing it in the Big Ten. Like that's not a mistake. That's gonna keep happening year over year, and like you're gonna have to figure out something. I don't know. Do you play a conference semifinal and final? Does just moving it to 9 games change it? Does building pods and doing like faux divisions fix it? I don't know what it is, but it's dumb. It's dumb, and it kind of goes against the ethos of what the sport has been for a while. So that sucks, and I don't know. Maybe it'll work itself out. Maybe that was a little bit of what I thought here as Clemson was losing to Pitt. Was like, well, it's working itself out, and Clemson's going to have a second loss, and nobody's going to have anything to complain about. But here they are, 7-1 still, and we'll see.
Yep, we were incorrect. Clemson needs a loss from Miami somewhere or SMU somewhere.
Which then my next question is why? Because is it because of the common opponent win percentage nonsense, something like that?
It is because Miami would have a better winning percentage against common conference opponents.
And because that's how they make Charlotte.
Clemson lost to Louisville, who Miami beat. Main culprit there.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, fair enough.
Yep.
Clemson 24, Pitt 20. Anything else there, Scott?
I am good, sir.
All right, fair enough.
All right.
2 more.
Let's go. How about, since the team we just talked about, well, sort of, SMU 38, Boston College 28.
The Ponies survive again. As you mentioned, I mean, they scored with under 10 seconds left here to make this look a little worse than it was.
Fun game.
Yeah, I mean, super back and forth. Boston College had the lead at one point in the third quarter. I impressed with Boston College again. Like, for a game where they were, 17.5, I think was the spread here. And
yeah, I think 17.5 is right. Yep, 17.5 is what we had early in the week on the preview. So Tuesday. Don't know what it closed at, but
yeah. And Boston College had a bit of a tough few weeks here. I mean, and especially now culminating with the loss of Thomas Castellanos. He's off. They've now lost 4 out of 5. Yeah, I mean, it's not great. But I will say that I think it was Bud Elliott on Cover 3 on the Thursday Locks pod that he mentioned something talking about Castellanos and how, I mean, I think probably his best skill as a quarterback is his athleticism, his ability to run, that kind of thing, which we've talked about on here has been hampered this year. He has not been healthy. But talked about, all right, so you've got either a hampered, kind of neutered Thomas Castellanos trying to fit into a Bill O'Brien system versus Grayson James, who is less athletic, more of a traditional passer. He thought this might not really be a true downgrade in terms of overall quality of the team at all. It might be about the same. And sure enough, I mean, Grayson James hung in there, 18 to 32, 237, he touchdown, a pick. Boston College, I mean, they hung in here. And Kevin Jennings had a big day, especially through the air. And I think that's probably where the difference was made here, is that he was able to hit some stuff in the passing game. I tweeted out this morning also, a thought that I had after we did the preview on Tuesday was, if Boston College is going to have a chance here, it was really going to have to come from their defensive line, I think, owning this game and disrupting what SMU wanted to do on offense. Boston College comes up with 0 sacks, 4 tackles for loss the whole game. And
not going to cut it.
Yeah, did not totally disrupt SMU in the way that I thought that they would need to if they were going to have a chance to win this game, even though they ended up doing that. They got close.
Yeah. You mentioned Kevin Jennings for SMU. Brashard Smith, another good game, 18 carries, 120 yards, and a touchdown. Good game from the Ponies. They were looking good there.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't catch a lot of this game live. I caught maybe the last 5 minutes, and I saw, Boston College was within 3 points, but again, SMU kind of like held the ball late and then took that late score. So
yeah,
I think SMU is going to be in Charlotte, barring anything crazy.
Yeah, it would take something wild at this point for them to not make it. So
yeah, I mean, they got Virginia, so they traveled to Virginia, then they host Cal. They're going to be heavy favorites, I think, in both, especially against Cal because that's at home. Maybe they'll be a little bit less against UVA on the road, but
they'll be at least a touchdown favorite in both of those games, maybe double digits.
Yeah,
for sure. So
maybe UVA gives them a fight next week. It's a nooner. It's senior day, I think, for UVA. So maybe they give them a fight next week, and we'll see what happens with the Fighting Tonys up there in Charlottesville. But I think SMU's going to Charlotte, and then it's going to be Miami or Clemson.
Very curious to see that number next week in Charlottesville, because if you get that north of 10, I'm probably interested in the Hoos there. I think they might give you a very spirited effort, and they can find a way to keep that close, if not win the game. I mean, honestly, like man,
that'd be fun.
And I'm not doing the SMU bit here either. Like
no, I don't think so.
Virginia has a way of hitting peaks on the roller coaster sometimes, and catch the wrong team at the wrong time. Yeah, they are. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, I mean, good game. It was fun. The last, I think it tuned in 8 minutes left was real fun. Oh, this thing I texted you guys about, simultaneous touchdowns I was watching a multi-view. Boston College and Stanford had simultaneous touchdowns, which was fun. Let's go ACC to that.
There it is. That was something I did want to mention here, by the way, which sucked. We had a short week in the ACC, right, Scott? Like 6 games?
6 games. Yep.
We realized that 4 of them were in the exact same TV window.
Whoa. Don't disrespect the CW like that. They were at 3 o'clock.
Well, excuse me. All these games were going at the exact same time, and that sucked from a trying to keep up with all of them standpoint is... we'll just use the quad box. Well, guess what? You can't use the quad box for these 4 specific channels because, I don't know, some weird contractual rules involved somewhere. I don't know.
It just bothers me when they don't let they, as in YouTube TV, is who we're talking about. Yes, I'm calling you out. Why? 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 Why?
Why? Why? Why? Why? Why?
Why do you not let the ABC channels, aka any ESPN, be combined with any ESPN? Just tell me that.
Why was it
They can't
tonight
explain it.
watching Carolina Wake? I couldn't possibly get a multi-view with the Georgia-Tennessee game except the Command Center version on ESPNU or whatever
Yeah.
it was. Like,
Why? Why? Why?
why? Someone explain it.
Need help.
Boston College is definitely going to a bowl game, right, Scott? They're 5-5. They'll get there.
Who's left?
North Carolina and Pitt at home, both weeks.
They could win both. They could lose both.
Yeah, I mean, 7-5, 5-7, all in play here. Who the hell knows? Welcome to the ACC. Welcome to the show. This league.
Stink, stank, stunk.
Yeah, this league.
That's 3 teams of which one are you going to get on any given week?
Yep.
Who knows?
Who knows? Okay.
SMU
good.
38, Boston College 28.
Let's wrap it up.
Last one.
Stanford 38. Number 19 Louisville 35.
Save the best for last. What? Okay, sorry. First of all, hell yeah, Stanford. What a win. Credit to them. Got it.
That was so not enthusiastic.
3 touchdown underdog at home. First home win against an FBS team in like 2 years.
Shout out Mike for the stat.
Absolutely. Incredible. Huge showing for Stanford here today. Ashton Daniels played his tail off in particular. Stanford's defense was up for this in particular, like all that stuff. Can I? We good on that part?
The floor is yours.
What the hell was this, Louisville? Good Lord. I mean, speaking of, by the way, Pitt, 13 penalties for 100 yards. Louisville, 13 penalties, 102 yards in a game like this. And, I mean, you outgained Stanford. You gave up 400 yards of offense to a bad Stanford offense. I just, the mistakes and the penalty, it is mind-numbing to me the way that you had the best win under Jeff Brom in 2 years. 2 weeks ago at Clemson. You have a bye week, you go to Palo Alto, and you now have the worst loss of the Brom era just in consecutive games. This is a Louisville team that, as we mentioned in the preview, and the reason that I took Stanford plus the points was this is a Louisville team that will lose focus. And some of that, I think, speaks to, are they super well coached or not? And this is not a super well coached Louisville team, honestly.
Nope.
And I think that's kind of the source of the inconsistency you see. If you look at the box score, it is not very clear how they lost this game. But it's dumb mental mistakes, bad moments. The sequence at the very, very end of the game is a perfect little microcosm that we could probably get into here.
Yeah, I mean, I think losing focus, the point you just made is the perfect example. I mean, they were up. We talked about this in the rapid recap, but they were up 2 touchdowns, 14 points, with less than 10 minutes to go in the game. They were still up by a touchdown with a minute to go, and they lost in regulation.
Mm-hmm.
So the final minute, I think Ashton Daniels got hurt. I don't know what happened. I looked over and the backup was in. I believe it was 4th down, and
it was 4th and 1.
It was 4th and 1, and they decided to throw to the end zone. Touchdown, tie the game. I, as a proponent of the Stanford rooting effort, thought they should go for 2. They elected not to, which I thought was a strange choice, coming back from 2 touchdowns down and a near 20-point dog. I was like, why not go for 2? They didn't. They chose not to. They Louisville gets the ball back. They had 2 timeouts. And about 45 seconds left. They do a decent little drive-ish, get to midfield around maybe across the line a little bit. What I thought, and you and I disagreed in our text thread, they went for a Hail Mary on 4th and 10. And they didn't.
4th and 10, 11 seconds left-ish.
Right. So I thought punt because of exactly what then transpired. You said it's probably fine because there's not enough time to do anything.
And it's Stanford.
Right. Exactly.
But
the game is tied. So the momentum's not on your side. You just let it all go back. And then a wishy-wash penalty.
Yeah.
And you're kicking a 57-yarder. Oh, wait. Offsides. Then it's a 52-yarder.
Yeah.
And credit to the Stanford kid. He made the kick, but damn.
Did you see the unsportsmanlike penalty that was called?
Honestly, I did not. I was tending to my son at the time. I was listening to the game across the room. I knew they threw the Hail Mary. I was then tending to my son. Then I heard unsportsmanlike conduct, Louisville. So I ran back over to see what was happening. So I didn't see the penalty.
Okay, so I'll set the stage. So Louisville with 11 seconds or so, they're going to run a play on 4th down. I didn't love, like basically throwing it deep.
Yeah,
you could just try to go for the first down, and that would have basically put you in field goal territory. And
yeah, they're on the edge.
Then trying to win the game, but instead, we're hucking it down the field and falls incomplete. So with 5 seconds, Stanford takes over. And again, I was okay with going for it because Stanford needs 20 yards in 5 seconds to get to get a field goal, basically. Like come on, like that's not going to happen.
Right.
So Stanford takes the snap, and first of all, as they take the snap, the clock's supposed to start. And there's definitely an extra beat in there. They probably got an extra second or so where the ball is in the quarterback's hands. He has probably turned and thrown it into the flats before the clock starts ticking. So, it should have started moving by then. Ball's caught, play goes out of bounds, and because of the delayed clock start, there's still 1 second left. Then the Louisville defender who is tackling the Stanford receiver out of bounds kind of hangs on to his leg, a little bit too long. It wasn't like he didn't go for like a gator roll or anything dirty, crazy like that. Just kind of held on. He stands up. He's still kind of holding it, and then lets go, but kind of gives him like a light shove. And it's one of those things where, like, if you're watching Alabama LSU and that happens, nobody's throwing a flag for that. And I think what bothered me is that it's really pretty ticky-tack. It's pretty minimal. And especially in that moment of the game, 1 second left, you're It's exactly right, Big Cass. Thank you. Don't make it about you in that moment, officials. Like that's what upsets me is did Louisville earn that? Yeah, on some level. Again, like poor coaching, right? Like
yep.
This is the only thing you can't have happen, and you let it happen. You gave them fuel to throw that flag. So that's on Louisville. And by the way, the other thing that's on Louisville is 59 minutes and 55 seconds into this game, you're tied with bad Stanford team. So at some point, you get what you get.
Yep.
I'm just saying in that moment, in the way that all shook out, that was not, I didn't agree with the way that was officiated, is all it was.
I honestly think the more egregious thing is the jumping in the offsides on the 57-yard attempt.
Oh, yeah. Quincy Riley, 57-yard field goal, and we're like acting desperate to block it.
Because the kid probably wasn't making it for 57 yards.
Right.
because you probably saw the 52-yarder. It squeaked over the bar. So
he didn't have 5 yards of
I don't think
room
so.
there. No,
I don't think so.
yeah. So that whole end of game sequence to me from Louisville just screamed poor coaching, and hard to justify that. And that's one of those things, Scott, where if I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
And I do know better with Louisville, and I know that Jeff Brom is the beloved local son and the whole thing. If I didn't know any better, I would say that's the kind of loss that gets somebody fired. Like that, you're a 3-touchdown favorite against a bad team, and you lost because of some pretty poor coaching stuff. You had a team that was not ready to play at all. Like, that's embarrassing. That's an awful, awful loss. I really don't mean offense to Stanford on that, but it's this Louisville team. I mean, they're ranked. They're supposed to be good. I've had my qualms with that this year, with the way that they've been very up and down and have won a couple games in very unconvincing fashion and that kind of thing. Like, but in any case, I mean, you're a 3-touchdown favorite and you lost like that. That's
Not good.
yeah, that is looking for words here. What's the word?
Disappointing.
Disappoint. It's incriminating. We'll say it's incriminating on the coaching staff. So
it's on their record. We'll circle back if it happens again. Basically.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Louisville's 6-4, which
Question for you, Joey. What Pitt and Kentucky left? What do you think?
I mean,
can lose both, can win both?
100%. Yeah. No,
Okay.
like exactly where I was at with Boston College. Like, you could win them both, you could lose them both, and nothing would surprise me. And I mean, speaking of problems,
Gasparilla Bowl versus the Gator Bowl or whatever.
I would say at least you're going to a bowl game for sure at this point. But speaking of gonna have some problems, you do this, and then you go lose in the big checkout line in Lexington here in a couple weeks.
Is that what that's called? Okay.
It's. I mean, by some podcasters, yes.
Okay.
I think the Puntcast refers to it as the big checkout line, but the Kroger Field that Kentucky plays at.
Got it.
Man, you better win at least one of those games if you're Louisville. You talk about going into the offseason with some bad vibes. Lose both of those. It is not going to be a fun offseason. Yeah.
That'd be dumpster fire vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it went well in year one, but not a good year two. It's not really cooking up to be so far. So we'll see. That game against Pitt next week. Louisville -5 at home.
I was gonna say 4, but okay, 5.
Yeah, I was leaning 4. Then I was like, well, it's at home. I think Louisville. Yeah, I'll go Louisville -5.
Also, speaking about next week, if we're almost done here.
Yeah, I think we're good. Stanford 38, Louisville 35. Shout out to the Cardinal. Beat the Cardinals.
The Cardinal battle.
That's right.
Nice. Speaking of next week, like I was saying, not just 1, but 2 CW games of the week.
Yes. This is what we need.
We get a nooner and a 3:30, so that'd be fun.
Florida State time slot champs, ESPN Plus.
Yes, sir.
Love it.
All right. Anything else, Joey?
I think I'm good on week 12. If you want to do some awards here, Scott.
I do. Let's go.
Man, where do we even start with the Go ACC moment of the week? We mentioned 2 different sequences in the Pitt-Clemson game. We had Clemson with 3rd and 21. Pitt offsides. Clemson incomplete pass. Punting anyways. Who cares?
And
then we had Pitt 3rd and goal from the 1. What was it? Illegal substitution. delay of game, false start, I think, in 3 separate plays, something like that.
I think legal substitution or formation. Then
It might have been formation, yeah.
yeah, but yes,
So we're now kicking a 35-yard field goal instead of trying to punch it in from the 1-yard line. So
yep.
go ACC to that. What was the opening kickoff of Notre Dame, Virginia?
Oh goodness, we were tagged on this on Twitter. Shout out! I think it was it Will Secure?
Might have been Will
forget.
Secor. Was it Chris Grondin? Might have been.
It was Will Secure.
Okay.
Notre Dame kicks the ball off. Virginia hits him off the chest. Notre Dame picks up the ball and runs it in for a touchdown. 4 seconds into the game. Go ACC.
To be fair, I don't think that actually counts as a touchdown. I think once the kicking team recovers, it's dead there. But the point remains, opening kickoff just completely dropped by Virginia, and Notre Dame recovers. And it's a hell of a way to start a game. We're trying to pull an upset, Virginia. Go ACC.
It's dead there? Why is it dead there? Is it because he touched it?
I think it's just that like the kicking team can't advance a recovered kick, basically.
Okay.
I think. I might be wrong. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, please.
That's fine. Go ACC.
Yeah. Go ACC to that. Go ACC to Louisville, pulling nonsense with a second left on the clock and setting up Stanford for a game-winning field goal. Go ACC to that. I mean, just this week was no shortage of Go ACC Moment of the Week candidates in 6 games. It was awesome.
Yep.
The Brian Van Gorder Memorial You Tried Award. Does it go to Notre Dame's defense for trying to preserve a cover? Does it go to North Carolina's defense for trying to preserve a cover? Does it... Anything?
I think it goes to Louisville, buddy.
Yeah. Yikes.
I think it's for trying to win a game against one of the worst teams in the conference.
You had the ball in plus territory in a tie game with 10 seconds left.
Yep.
And you didn't even make it to overtime and you lost.
Yep.
Good
Sorry, Louisville.
grief. Good grief, Charlie Brown. Yeah, not great. You tried.
You did try.
The Kobe Bryant Memorial Volume Shooter of the Week Award.
Clemson rushing attack. We mentioned
That's
it earlier.
Exactly
Kobe?
where I want to go. Yeah. Big yikes.
Rushing in that game at all was just hard for both teams.
On both sides, yeah. Cade Klubnik, again, had 1 carry for 50 yards. Him and Phil Maffa on 26 other carries combined for 8 yards.
Is that good?
It's not. It's definitely not. Desmond Reed for Pittsburgh. 43 yards on 1 carry. 13 carries for 25 yards other than that. And
Running was hard.
Yeah, Pitt, I mean, run game not happening in Pittsburgh for either of those teams today.
Kobe.
Any unsanctioned awards here, Scott?
I don't think I can give it out. I think I'm good.
I think you're good.
I think I'm good. You can give it out if you want. but I'm
No.
good. Mike's not here. It's Mike's award to give.
It's Mike's. Yeah, Mike does the unsanctioned stuff. I can't put my name on that stuff. Can't do it.
No.
All right, you got a team of the week. We got to kill the music
Stanford?
here. We're not joking anymore.
I got.
There we go.
Sorry. Team of the week. Stanford.
I think it's Stanford. Yeah,
Gotta be. Good
huge win
Stanford.
for the Cardinal.
Yeah.
I mean, out of nowhere, 3 touchdown underdog, got the win on the farm. There were approximately 29 fans, I think, that rushed the field at the end of the game.
Is it that? It was. The stadium was sparse. I didn't know people rushed the field at all. Probably because it was only 29. I don't know.
There were a few. I'm mostly, I just made up a number, but like, there were some that rushed the field. It was it was a sparse crowd. So
Gotcha.
good on the people that were there to witness it and
Yeah.
to do all that. Good on them.
Yeah.
Player of the week. On that note, I mean, Ashton Daniels had a pretty big game for Stanford, almost 300 yards passing, and got it done for him. So shout out to them.
Same game. Ashton Daniels' favorite target today, Emmett Mosley.
Yep.
168 and 3 tutties.
Yep.
Good for him. Freshman.
Huge
Look at that
day.
guy.
Yeah, if you combine him with Elic Ayamanor,
Yeah, they ripped it up.
I was gonna say those two guys. If you got those two receivers, you can cook a little bit in this league. And it seemed like that was a bit of a coming out party for Emmett Mosley today.
Yes, sir. Amarian Hampton, we mentioned, very good at running the football.
Yeah,
Career high in rushes, career high in yards, 244. I believe he got a touchdown. Yes, he did. So good for Amarian Hampton. He'll be in the NFL next year.
T.J. Parker for Clemson, 7 tackles, 4 sacks in this game.
Good job, TJ.
Really good. Really, really good. Desmond Reed, by the way, for Pitt, played his ass off. 14 carries, had only 68 yards, but also 10 catches for 108 yards. He was their leading rusher and receiver.
All over the field.
Played his tail off. Antonio Williams for Clemson, 13 catches for 149 and 2 scores.
Yep.
He was really good. He was the majority of Clemson's offense in this game. So, had a number of good performances here. Kyle McCord, good against Cal. I was impressed. Kevin Jennings, good against Boston College. Impressed there too.
Yes, he was.
So
way to go, guys.
Yep, absolutely. Lots of good player of the week candidates here. We had a lot of strong performances from different individuals in the conference this week.
We did.
Scott, anything else on week 12?
Nothing. I just looked over my shoulder and I see that BYU is trailing early fourth quarter against Kansas. So I'll be tuning into that.
Kansas scored. Let's go. Come on, Jayhawks.
Yeah, rock chalk.
Honestly, knocking off BYU is probably good for ACC 2-team playoff hopes.
Probably. Yeah.
So, rock chalk. Let's go.
Let's go.
In Provo. 3-6 Kansas.
A couple things we missed. Go buy stuff from Home Field.
Mm-hmm.
Use code GOACC24 at checkout to get your sweet Home Field apparel. You get 50% off your first order. Or use the link in the description of the YouTube video if you're watching right now or watching later. Or if you're listening on audio, click the link and it'll take you to our page. Get some stuff for the holidays. The holidays are coming up. We're going to get into the bowl season episodes eventually. Be pushing all of these. Get your holiday gifts. Go to Home Field.
HomeFieldApparel.com.
Yep. Thank you.
I missed 2 things very importantly. Okay. Number 1, our guy Kiefer Milligan, by the way, he tweeted us almost a week ago. He's from the Rumble Seat staff.
Oh, yes. Please mention this. I know what you're talking about.
2020, Tom Brenneman calls game involving Castellanos. Brenneman fired after the game. 2024, Tom Brenneman calls game involving Castellanos. Castellanos fired after the game. We've come full circle. Hashtag GoACCMOTW at BC Podcast ACC. Shout out to Kiefer. That is a good call. You're correct. You're correct.
That is awesome.
The other thing I forgot to mention, go to section103.com, use promo code GOACC at checkout for 20% off your first, 10% off your first order. Whoa. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, something for men, women, children, something for the whole family, babies. They got it all, section103.com. Use, again, promo code GOACC at checkout for 10% off your first order. I got this gorgeous white shirt with a gold Ramblin' Wreck on there. It is really comfy, really soft. You'll love yours. I got the Coach hoodie right behind me on the chair just in case I get cold. It's super soft, very warm, looks fantastic. I love mine. They got new shirts that just came out. They got the what is it? The Drown Proofing George P. Burdell shirt. All sorts of things. Keep an eye out. Section103.com. Once again, use promo code GOACC at checkout for 10% off your first order. They got a great thing going there. And Georgia Tech fans, you need something from section103.com, especially with the holidays coming up. By the way, they just came back out. Feliz Bobby Dodd sweatshirts and long sleeve t-shirts. Go get them before you got to go to a holiday party. You'll be the absolute heat of the holiday party if you have one of those on. So go do that. One last time, section103.com. Use promo code GOACC for 10% off your first order.
I need to get myself some Section 103. I know Mike has some.
Yeah.
I need to get some.
I mean, even a Virginia Tech guy in Virginia,
Here I
he
am.
showed up to a holiday party wearing a Feliz Bobby Dodd shirt and or sweatshirt.
It's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
It's ironic. It's great.
it's great. I work with a lot of GT fans. It'll work.
Yeah. Money all goes to the same place. I mean, it's fine. So.
Yeah.
Scott, that's all I got on week 12. Anything else before we get out of here?
I'm more efficient than Mike.
Are you? I was going to say, you see how easy it is to go an hour and 20 on these?
The preview was an hour and 15, so I think it's fine.
This is true. We will be back. We're going to preview week 13. We do have a weeknight game, Georgia Tech hosting NC State. And then, buddy, it is freaking go time.
Oh, yeah.
Schedule-wise.
No more bye weeks, right?
Probably not. Yeah, we got 9 games on Saturday. A couple of the FCS games. Got just one iffy out of conference game otherwise. So there'll be a couple of softballs there at the end, but pretty busy week in the ACC next week. So tune in. Scott will be here. We'll see if it's just me and Scott. We'll see if we find someone else to guest host. I mean, it's all up to Scott's preference. We'll see. Don't know what the schedule looks like.
It's the boys' show. I'm just here to support. As
There we
everyone
go.
knows who's still listening, I am the oil that keeps this machine running.
The glue that holds it all together.
Yeah. So without me, which we witnessed back about a month ago, shambles. Here we are.
I mean, as any good engineer would know, I mean, you're both the glue and the oil, which
Yes.
is... Never mind. We won't think too hard about that. Anyways, so come back Wednesday night, most likely, maybe Tuesday. Who knows? Hit subscribe on youtube.com/@the-ACC Football Podcast. Hit the bell icon. You'll find out when we're going live to preview week 13. Let's get out of here. In the meantime, come find us on Twitter @FTRSJoey, @Severus_Snipes, @BC Podcast ACC on Twitter. We started a Blue Sky handle, by the way, @BC Podcast ACC.
What? I don't even know what that is.
Social. Yeah, it's Twitter before Twitter, but like post Twitter, so it's fine.
What?
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, go find us there. Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts.
It's YouTube Music now. Subscribe on YouTube
of course
Music,
it is.
everybody. If
Sure.
you subscribe on YouTube Music, you get the podcast first.
Hell yeah.
If you
Absolutely.
subscribe on YouTube Music, you get the podcast first.
We
That's
would
what you
appreciate
should know.
that. Please do. Where else on social media, Scott? Facebook?
Facebook.com/basketball conference. Find a few podcasts there.
Find something there.
You'll find something.
You sure will. Send us an
Instagram?
email. Oh, yeah.
Instagram?
Insta.
I don't know what music is randomly playing. Instagram @BC Podcast ACC. I'll be honest, I haven't posted any reels there in a few weeks. Been a little busy,
Yeah,
but I'm here
Same.
right now, and Mike's not, and that's what matters.
that's right. That's the important things.
That guy's on vacation,
And he still hasn't called in like he told us he was going to.
bastard.
That's right.
I'm gonna have to
Hi, Mike.
fire him.
I assume he's going to listen to this. Who knows?
Doubt it.
Yeah, probably not. I think that's all I got. Basketball Conference Podcast @gmail.com is the email address.
Nailed it.
Hit us up. Thank you. Scott, anything else?
Yes, sir. Nothing else. Thanks everyone for listening. I know I'm not Mike, and that's why I only had a few commenters tonight. But we had one commenter. Shout out to Brett, who was here
Shout out to
tonight.
Brett
So thank you,
Taylor.
Brett.
Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it, Brett. Brett, a big fan of Matt Luke and that Clemson offensive line that has been developed the last year or so. So understandable.
There we go.
Got it done today.
All right.
Scott, you want to come back and preview week 13?
We will do that, sir.
We will. All right. Until then, for producer Scott, I am Joey Weaver. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will talk to you again very, very soon. Until next time, go ACC.